What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? We had some technical difficulties like a mug earlier. What's up with y'all? Okay, what are we talking about today, Z, tonight, Z? Because you did not put a link in the description box. We're continuing with the Shay Sade conversation, the Anton Daniels conversation, and the BGS conversation. But my title is The End of an Era, right? And y'all can see what the question is in the chat, hopefully, right? Wow. So instead of Mr. Z saying Mr. Z said, let Mr. Z play Mr. Z said, and check. Well, the screen is gonna be a little difficult to see, but see what Z was saying last year. One of the clips I'm gonna play for you guys is from October of last year. The other is from November of last year. Here you guys go.
And Mr. Donnie Mack says we may have to revisit the welfare cliff and the potential for it to be steeper than ever before. They can't. This is the thing. I said this before, so many of you may remember it. And once again, KMS, thank you for that super chat. Thank you for that super chat. Many of you may have remembered it. It's not going to be black men that put a foot in black women's ass. It's going to be white men. It's going to be white men. So speaking about the welfare cliff, Mr. Donnie Mack, I think you let enough of these conservative or Republicans come in, they are going to strip the welfare state and force women, that includes you, black women, to make a decision. Either starve or get on a man's program. And it ain't gonna be, and you know who's gonna hurt the most? But of course, black women. Now, white men, white conservative men, have a very interesting card to play here. Either they help black women, screw black men over, which by the way, I think is the lane they're gonna try to use, or because it's obviously gonna be a sweeping maneuver that they make, they also tell black women, hey, you better go back home.
Mr. Z said this October 25th last year, 2024. I was a little off on, well, we still don't know, but it's looking like actually it was go back home. Huh? Shout out to all of those who didn't see this. Shout out to all the black women who didn't see this. Huh? And how was it looking about a month ago, Z?
Black women, they are doing the same thing to us that they did to black men 40 years ago, which is pushing us out of the workforce. That's what they did to black men. And that is what caused the major divide within our community with regards to the gender wars. We saw black men the way they wanted us to see them because they didn't have the upward mobility that we had because of our jobs that we were able to get in the federal government. For one, the federal government was one of the biggest job employers for black women, and they're pushing us out left and right. We lost more jobs last month than any other demographic, and those jobs are not coming back. And if they come back, they not gonna give them to us. I don't care what degree you got, because you can see right now they don't care nothing about those degrees. As soon as we started getting it, they ain't mean anything anymore. I say this to say we gonna have to work with black men. Whatever grief you got with black men, get over it. It's time for us to work together. We need them and they need us, and this is just more proof of that.
That was as of what, a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, right? Here's a clip. Bear with. This clip is from November. This is from November of last year. Bear with. It's a few minutes long. This is Mr. Z. Once again, and we're going to show the date just in case. Right? There you go.
Are crashing out. Wait a minute, Z. Wait, Z. First, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Secondly, Z, weren't you the one, Z, that said it's not going to be black men that put a foot up black women's ass? It's going to be white men? Uh-oh. Z, do you now want to describe how JD Vance and his ilk are about to put that foot all the way square up black women's rectum? Well, Don't mind if I do. They're going to strip certain social programs. Oh, and they're going to strip it real nice. And it's going to hurt white women. Ooh, it's going to hurt them. It's going to force them to go back home to white men. And it's going to obliterate black women that are not attached to a black man, or any man for that matter, worth a damn. Huh? I suspect the goal here is to put men, white men in particular, on good footing, increase, or yeah, I would argue increase as much factory jobs worth a damn they can, right? Strip away college and university requirement for every little thing. Increase trade schools. Huh? To put white men on the footing to make 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus $1,000 a year. 80 plus $1,000 a year. Right? And to make them quote unquote marriageable. And on the other hand, and I think all the child tax credits, I think they might still continue with those type of things. You know, you already hear about, because we know men are the ones who predominantly do overtime. So, you know, the not taxing overtime and all these other things that are going to, right, help men. I
This
wouldn't
was
be
last
surprised
year.
if Trump comes in with his own version of the infrastructure bill that once again disproportionately benefits men. Huh?
This was last year.
Why? Because the women have been so goddamn loud about the men not being on their level and who's marriageable or not, as if these women are marriageable. Huh? And so the Donald Trumps and definitely the J.D. Vances of the world said, I'll oblige. Huh? So I would argue the crash out is because the hierarchy is being reinforced again. You know, white male rulership hierarchy. You know, I said this a little while ago. Maybe BGS remembers me saying this. Maybe some of y'all remember Z saying this. I can't remember if I said it on my own platform or on somebody else's platform. When I was speaking about a channel called Then and Now, Then and Now, yeah, it's Then and Now, and um, British dude, I want to say philosopher, and he covered Vladimir Putin, right, and Russia and Russian history, and he kind of gave this assessment about how in the West we take quote unquote progress for granted, right? This march forward, this constantly quote unquote progressing in a particular direction, right? Whether we in the Black Manosphere see it as progressing or progress or not, but moving in a particular direction. And there's this assumption that things will automatically always get easier. You will always have these technological advancements. You will always be liberalizing your society. You will always be quote unquote taking the shackles off of people and affording people more and more liberties. Excuse me. There's this assumption of that. Now, this is Mr. Z talking now. This is not him, but this is what I took from his think piece. And in Russia, they don't
Remember,
have
this is
this
last year.
assumption. They don't take this for granted. They don't take the technology for granted. They don't take quote unquote liberalism for granted, right? There's not this idea that, you know, like Martin Luther King, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. They don't have that in Russia. And quite frankly, I would argue in many different cultures and societies around the planet, right? And what I think you see with this crash out, and we can bring this back from the repeal of affirmative action. You can bring this back to the repeal of Roe versus Wade. It's this rolling back of these things, and people who took for granted that, okay, we won that battle, okay, next we won the next battle, okay, next what's next, what's the next mountain to climb, what's the next thing to conquer, we won that battle, we're rolling back the conservatism, we're rolling back, right, we're rolling back these people, we're pushing them back, and our victories are permanent. They took that for granted. They took that for granted. They took upward mobility for granted. They took the passage of time and winning these victories, whether small or big victories, they took that for granted, right? LGBTQ folks being able to get married, they took that for granted. They took for granted all of this. Affirmative action laws and Roe versus Wade, they took all of it for granted. And now that push, and you heard, for those of us that did check out the J.D. Vance interview with Joe Rogan, you could see how he responds to TRANS and their lifestyle. Huh? You see the way he spoke about his wife, right? You look at the way he had that conversation or debate with that back and forth with Dana Bash off of CNN. Look at how he addressed the audience when someone asked him about what does he have to say about what Barack Obama had to say about black men and misogyny. White men are reasserting themselves. Huh? And because white men are reasserting themselves and they're going to yank that chain on white women, I said it as mean as I meant it. They're going to yank that chain on white women. And because black women, in many respects, are the mascot in the face for liberalism, women, right? X chromosome liberalism. Because black women are the face of the middle finger towards men and men's leadership. And because black women love that position and they love playing that role, when Mr. Z said it's not going to be black men, it's going to be white men that put the foot in black women's rear end, that wasn't just a guess. And Mr. Z is not wishing that. I know it's going to happen, though. And for those of you that, Mr. Z been saying that for at least a couple years, way before JD Vance's name really blew up, way before people really thought that Trump was going to be able to make it out of all of these cases. I've only been saying it for a couple of years. I've been thinking it for at least a decade. Huh? At least a decade. Right?
That was Mr. Z, November 8th, 2024. Huh? And now we're experiencing the great reachback. Yeah. More and more women being part of, as Ed says, the accountability department, right? Black female accountability department. Right? Black women accountability department. How does Ed pronounce it or say it again? So that was 100,000 jobs in 1 month. Huh? That was 100,000 jobs in 1 month. What, about a month ago? And now where are we, Z?
To the economy now, where staggering numbers have been released surrounding black women in the labor force. A new report shows more than 300,000 black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down.
I don't want to get flagged. I do not know if they'll flag me for that. I just played that part. Oh boy. Anyway, 308,000 jobs. Oof. Someone in the comments was that Detroit that said 500,000. 500,000. Huh? Mr. Z said how this was going to go down. Y'all had a few months to prepare, ladies. This is not about celebrating their downfall. I think they're a canary in the coal mine for women writ large in America right now, to be honest. I think Anton also sees that. I think BGS sees that. Black Uru spoke to that a few months ago. Huh? I think black women are canary in the coal mine for women. America's willing to let black women fall first. There's going to be a number of white women that's going to fall, Latinas that's going to fall, even some Asian women that's going to fall. They don't appreciate the public-private partnership that was going on to keep them employed. A lot of, and I'm not saying this to be insulting, but there was literally a book written about it, BS jobs. Huh? BS jobs. Huh? Mr. Z might revisit this again in more detail. I checked out what's her name, Messi Michonne channel speaking about it, and she was kind of making fun of the ladies. And she was like, "Black men, aren't y'all supposed to be dusty, rusty, crusty, right? Y'all supposed to be dusty, rusty, crusty, musty, right? Musty, dusty, rusty, crusty, but yet, right?" So we'll probably revisit this in a better detail. With that, if what Detroit is saying, right, 500,000 jobs in the span of what, 5, 6, 7 months, huh? Y'all took it for granted, as Mr. Z said. Z, you calling yourself? I know. Y'all took it for granted, and we're here now. And I would like to know where Kim Foster is right now. Where's Chrissy to speak on this? Where's Paris Milan and her defunct channel, or the channel she took down, to speak on this? Huh? Crystalline Kerosene is moonwalking now. But remember, black men were just Big D and Swag some years ago. Huh? Kim Foster over here talking about individuality and being an individual. Can black women afford it? Can the masses of black women afford it? Huh? Yikes. Is this the end of an era? Is this the end of an era? Mr. Z would say, yes, I don't think this is a pause. Because you have machine learning and automation nipping at our heels. Huh? Things being automated, software learning, machine learning, nipping at our heels. Huh? Will men get hit with this too? Yeah, but not as fast as women gonna get hit by it. Oops. A lot of that automation we're biting on young boomers and Xers jobs in the 80s and 90s, somewhat in the early aughts. The men got hit already, but this time around, no, the women are gonna get hit. A lot of those cubicle jobs, a lot of those BS jobs, paper pusher jobs. Who played the clip where the South Asian woman was snitching on herself with showing what she does like at Google all day, and she spent like 2 hours practically doing nothing. 2, 3 hours. I understand. You know, you don't spend every waking second of your job working. Cool. Understood. Y'all already know, Mrs. Z. Don't put it in the comments. Even though we're not reckless right now. Huh? Yet you self-snitching. Huh? You work for what? Was it Google? So you're smart enough to work for Google, but you're dumb enough to self-snitch about your day and how much of it is just leisure time? Huh? This is where we are now. Black women lost 300 and some odd thousand, well, 500,000 jobs. Don't worry, white women gonna get sideswiped too. Huh? You better believe it. Latinas also. Huh? They took it for granted. That middle finger, let's see, let's see if you can keep on holding it up, ladies. Black men ain't this. I could do bad all by myself. Huh? All of that talk. Alrighty then. Huh? And Detroit says Latina is going to be fine. Well, I did say if you have a network, if you have a man, hopefully he has a job worth of damn, right? But all these little single women who's not going to get a man's program, we'll see. Huh? This is why, excuse me, accountable commentary says no reachbacks. No reachbacks, no reach blacks. Shout out to Shay Sade and the Swirler Talk. Exactly. Huh? And let's be very clear. Most of them are still not going to want to be on your program anyway. Huh? It's going to be cold out there, freezing. And, you know, it's going to be freezing out there. This is not a time to make fun of the ladies. I know there's some brothers that, they're getting their 5 chuckles in. Mr. Z is not going to get his 5 chuckles in. This is just a small shot. We don't know how this is going to trickle down into the private sector. The public sector set this precedent, kicked this off with Trump and, as I said, JD Vance. So you can see the contempt that Sagar and Jetty has for black folks whenever they talk about black folks. Um, and you think that guy who's friends with JD Vance, you think he only represents himself? Black women, you don't appreciate what this means for you? And I hear and shout out to BGS and you know, I'll no, let's tell them they are being targeted. If Anton and BGS no, let's I'm about telling people yes, what you see is what it is and what you gonna do about it. For all the women, black women that feel it's like they're targeting us. Okay, yeah, they are. That's why you're supposed to be on a black man's program. That's why you were supposed to have a man. No, let's tell them. Let's you know what? Let's entertain black women. Yes, they are targeting you. That's why you were supposed to be on a black man's program and not living vicariously through Ebony K. Williams. Huh? You at 37, 42, 35, $32,000 a year earning woman, and yet you got the same issues as Ebony K. Williams when Iyanla Vanzant asked her, would you date the bus driver? And you all in the comments and you all invested. They always try to humble a black woman. Y'all don't tell the white women to settle. Huh? And we're here now. Let's say they are targeting you. They're pinpointing black women to be the first ones to fall off. It would still hurt if you had a man. Oh, it would still hurt. It wouldn't be the devastating blow it is for many of you, though. It wouldn't be the end of the world as it is for many of you, though. Huh? Yikes. Y'all listening to Kim Foster. Y'all listening to Mahogany Pink. Y'all listening to Lexus Exodus. Y'all listening to Divested Zealot. You're listening to Chrissy. Chrissy still putting out the same type of content like the world ain't changing. Huh? These are the folks you're listening to. Huh? sovereign woman, sovereign queen. These are the folks you're listening to. These are the women. As you struggle, huh? All that dusty talk, all that which you're not going to settle for. Alrighty then, huh? You took for granted the environment, and that's why we're here now. Well, better yet, that's why you're here now, huh? Yikes. And I am here says, do you not think black women have families they can go to? I think some black women have a network, but the black community, black families are fraying. We just spoke about this, what, a week or two ago? The end of the black family reunion and what that means, what that signals, huh? So are we saying that it's just the men that are becoming more and more atomized in our society? The women aren't? Huh? The men are isolated, but not the women. Alrighty then. Huh? Do I think that that women have families they can go to? Yes. Yes. Black women have families they can go to. Black women would maybe be less likely to have to lean on mom in their late 30s and early 40s, or older sibling, or maybe even a younger sibling if they had a man. That doesn't mean things wouldn't be tough. What, as I just said, it wouldn't be that devastating blow though. Huh? Black women said they didn't want to get on a black man's program. Chrissy literally said to me, "What program?" Well, where you at, Chrissy? Huh? Everything that y'all been saying on social media and the internet for the past decade, decade and a half ish, has been luxury beliefs predicated and built off of the largesse of white women and white liberal men. You know? And the second enough, pretty much white men, white conservative men said, okay, yeah, we're done with that. We're here now. Huh? Don't worry. White women gonna be sitting right next to you in a minute. Not all of them. It's gonna be a smaller percentage of their population, but there's gonna be enough white women sitting right next to you in a minute, and some Latinas. Huh? We are in the era. I've said it before. Let me say it again. Shout out to my day one. Shout out to everybody who remembers Z saying this. Now being single is a luxury. Huh? We are transitioning into a world where being single, especially obviously for women, is a luxury. If you doubt me, give it another, I don't know, 2 seconds. Huh? Yikes. Oh crap, really? And Mr. Shook to you says, Z, Jeff St. James just did a recent interview. Sounds like he's been listening to your channel too regarding AI and politics. Put the link in. Or who did he interview with if you don't want to put the link in? I'll check it out after the stream. All right. And Detroit says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Detroit says, are you ready for the Ice Age? 20, baby. Oh well, coming soon. Count Dracula from Sesame Street laughed. I don't I don't want to laugh at the ladies because to me it's not funny. It's sad and it's depressing and it's devastating. And some of them deserve it. Oops. Huh? I'm an Mr. Z's actually not about dancing on others' misfortune. And depending on the person, no matter how horrible they've been, depending on how horrible they've been. Actually, let's rewind that. Let's back that up. Mr. Z's still a human being. That depends. That's depends. But I'm not about dancing on others' misfortune. Black women thought that we were going to continue to go in this direction. A lot of women thought we were going to go, particularly I'm saying not just black women here, thought we were going to continue on this direction where they could financially afford to give black men and men in America the middle finger, where relationship with men, straight, we're talking about heterosexual relationship with men, was the capstone, right? It was the icing on the cake of your adulting. And it was supposed to signal some type of success and opulence. And maybe we're transitioning into a world where that no longer applies. Huh? This is going to be real difficult because these are jobs that are not coming back. Huh? This is a fundamental reshuffling of the economy, a slimmer economy. When I say slimmer, I don't mean like losing GDP slimmer. I mean flush with cash and you just throw money at any little pet project and vanity project. Yeah, we don't live in that world anymore. At least not for your average person. These little pet projects that your local officials would get some money. Oh, we're just going to set aside this money for this and we're going to set aside that money for that. And then other people get to take advantage of it. And those other people are usually women giving them the middle finger. We don't live in that world anymore. Yeah. Ah, and Detroit, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. These were all luxury beliefs. I've said it before. Kim Foster can afford to talk like that. She could financially afford it. Chrissy could financially afford to talk like that. Lexus Exodus could financially afford to talk like that. Huh? The sovereign woman is a truck driver. It looked like she gonna be all right. She can financially afford to talk like that, from what we could see at least. The masses of women, namely, of course, black women, cannot. They never could. It was a paper thin veil. This delusion was a paper thin veil, and it just got blown away. Yeah. Yikes. Oh, and give me a second, y'all. Let me click this from Mr. Shook to you so I can have it in my history now. Y'all gives you a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And thank you for that, Mr. Shukti. Thank you for that. I'll check it out and yeah, I need an interview with him because he did. I reached out and he did say, hey, pretty much like, hey, hit me up. And Mr. Z's been ripping and running and uh yeah, right. Hey, good point. And Vince says Z, the world catching up to the conversation we've been having for at least the past 2-3 years. It's longer than that, Vince. But yes, I agree with you. They are catching up. Huh? Passport OG, the worst. Passport OG talk. Not B Simone. Not. It's my finances. You know what? I do want to clip that just that part out to play right for times like these. Their entire worldview was built off of the largesse of like the system and okay, all right, understandable to a certain extent. And like white women and what white women could do while white men were allowing them to do it. That's a horrible position to be in. Good point. And Leon says they have not caught up. They still are on chapter one. He said they catching up. They haven't caught up. Yeah. Indigo, I heard it in your voice too. Indigo says, "This is sad, yo. I thought they were running circles around ninjas. What the what the hell happened? Life happened. The world happened. An election happened. A trade war happened. Competition happened. Donald Trump being reelected happened. JD Vance happened. Ooh, goddamn. Vivek and Elon Musk happened. The Republicans having the Supreme Court, Congress, and the White House happened. That's what happened. Uh, uh, Conservative podcast bros happened. Uh, the same white men that black women have been living in the same country with since 1619, at least 1619, happened. They must have forgot who they were dealing with. There you go. Another thing that happened. Black women in amnesia happened. Huh? All of that happened, Indigo. That's what happened. Huh? Yikes. So for those of you that recently came in, we're going to play these clips of Mr. Z predicting a lot of this stuff last year before the election and last year a couple of days after the election. And here y'all go. All right, let's play these. Let's play this one first.
And Mr. Donnie Mac says we may have to revisit the welfare cliff and the potential for it to be steeper than ever before. They can't. This is the thing. I said this before, so many of you may remember it. And once again, KMS, thank you for that super chat. Thank you for that super chat. Many of you may have remembered it. It's not going to be black men that put a foot in black women's ass. It's going to be white men. It's going to be white men. So speaking about the welfare cliff, Mr. Donnie Mac, I think you let enough of these conservative or Republicans come in, they are going to strip the welfare state and force women, that includes you, black women, to make a decision. Either starve or get on a man's program. And it ain't gonna be, and you know who's gonna hurt the most? But of course, black women. Now, white men, white conservative men, have a very interesting card to play here. Either they help black women, screw black men over, which by the way, I think is the lane they're gonna try to use, or because it's obviously gonna be a sweeping maneuver that they make, they also tell black women, hey, you better go back home.
Hmm? They're gonna strip the welfare state. Huh? That was from what? October 25th? Something like that of last year. October 25th of 2024. Mr. Z said that. Mr. Z, you're referring to yourself in the third person again. Yes, I am. Yeah. Yikes. Continuing.
Are crashing out.
Before we play that, this is from November 8th of 2024. Here you guys go.
Are crashing out. Wait a minute, Z. Wait, Z. First, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Secondly, Z, weren't you the one, Z, that said it's not going to be black men that put a foot up black women's ass, is going to be white men? Uh-oh. Z, do you now want to describe how JD Vance and his ilk are about to put that foot all the way square up black women's rectum? Well, don't mind if I do. They're going to strip certain social programs. Oh, and they're going to strip it real nice. And it's going to hurt white women. Ooh, it's going to hurt them. It's going to force them to go back home to white men. And it's going to obliterate black women that are not attached to a black man or any man.
Hold up, I gotta unpause myself because I think we got a green gorilla sighting. I think we got a green. Look, Mr. Z ended the whole day. Wait, Z. Wait, Z. We gonna have to pause Z. Wait, Z. That was you playing you? Yes. Z had to pause Z playing to acknowledge green gorilla in the house. Right? Vince, we gotta skip your super chat for a second because Green Gorilla done stepped in the house. And Green Gorilla says, and thank you for the super chat, Green Gorilla. Dr. Green Gorilla, that is to you guys. What up, Z? You are describing one, the Pale Male Rebellion, two, the Chadlash, three, the Armor Bropier, and the response to female armor proper. Mrs. Z is mispronouncing this. I know I am. They should have seen it coming. I agree with that, Green Gorilla. But I think when you're in the midst of being in Candyland, do you ever think it's gonna end? Right? Like you get onto the escalator, which I want to say because y'all are older than Z. What, mid 70s, early 80s, mid 80s? You get onto the escalator and you just ride in the escalator until pretty much this year. Huh? And a lot of them still don't feel it. Right? There's been hiccups, obviously. 08 hiccup, hiccups in 2000, some hiccups in the 90s. But like the escalator for the most part just kept on going up. You didn't think it was gonna ever end? Well, we're here now. Huh? Green Gorilla said the Pell Mell Rebellion. Yeah, Green Gorilla. Green Gorilla, if you want to come up, I'll put the link down. Right. So yeah, definitely. And that the Chadlash. Van Jones spoke to that Trump's first victory in 2017. Right? But he called it the white lash. Right? If you listen to the white podcast bros, they were super giddy. And they acknowledged they had something to do with Trump's victory in 2024. And I already knew what that meant. Right? I knew what that meant. It ain't looking good. Huh? Yikes. Well, give me a second. Okay, Green Gorilla says, I'm good, y'all. Just listening to enjoy. Thank you, Green Gorilla. Thank you. You are a scholar, literally, and a gentleman. Right? So, yeah, no, back to regularly scheduled programming. So we're going to play Z playing Z, right? Well, we're not going to play Z playing Z, but we're going to play me back in, what was that? November 8th of last year, 2024. I didn't get everything right, but I got much of this right. And here we go.
Are crashing out. Wait a minute, Z. Wait, Z. First, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Secondly, Z, weren't you the one, Z, that said it's not going to be black men that put a foot up black women's ass? It's going to be white men? Uh-oh. Z, do you now want to describe how JD Vance and his ilk are about to put that foot all the way square up black women's rectum? Well, don't mind if I do. They're going to strip certain social programs. Oh, and they're going to strip it real nice. And it's going to hurt white women. Ooh, it's going to hurt them. It's going to force them to go back home to white men. And it's going to obliterate black women that are not attached to a black man, or any man for that matter, worth a damn.
I said it.
Huh? I suspect the goal here is to put men, white men in particular, on good footing, increase, or, yeah, I would argue increase as much factory jobs worth a damn they can, right? Strip away college and university requirement for every little thing. Increase trade schools. Huh? To put white men on the footing to make 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus $1,000 a year. 80 plus $1,000 a year. Right? And to make them quote unquote marriageable. And on the other hand, and I think all the child tax credits, I think they might still continue with those type of things. You know, you already hear about, because we know men are the ones who predominantly do overtime. So, you know, the not taxing overtime and all these other things that are going to, right, help men. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump comes in with his own version of the infrastructure bill that once again disproportionately benefits men. Huh? Why? Because the women have been so goddamn loud about the men
As
not
Mr.
being on their
Z's
level
loud.
and who's marriageable or not, as if these women are marriageable. Huh? And so the Donald Trumps and definitely the JD Vances of the world said, "I'll oblige." Huh? So I would argue the crash out is because the hierarchy is being reinforced again. You know, white male rulership hierarchy. You know, I said this a little while ago. Maybe BGS remembers me saying this. Maybe some of y'all remember Z saying this. I can't remember if I said it on my own platform or on somebody else's platform. When I was speaking about a channel called Then and Now, yeah, it's Then and Now, and British dude, I want to say philosopher, and he covered Vladimir Putin, right, and Russia and Russian history, and he kind of gave this assessment about how in the West we take quote unquote progress for granted, right? This march forward, this constantly quote unquote progressing in a particular direction, right? Whether we in the Black Manosphere see it as progressing or progress or not, but moving in a particular direction. And there's this assumption that things will automatically always get easier. You will always have these technological advancements. You will always be liberalizing your society. You will always be quote unquote taking the shackles off of people and affording people more and more liberties. Excuse me. There's this assumption of that. Now, this is Mr. Z talking. Now, this is not him, but this is what I took from his think piece. And in Russia, they don't have this assumption. They don't take this for granted. They don't take the technology for granted. They don't take quote unquote liberalism for granted, right? There's not this idea that, you know, like Martin Luther King, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. They don't have that in Russia. And quite frankly, I would argue in many different cultures and societies around the planet, right? And what I think you see with this crash out, and we can bring this back from the repeal of affirmative action. You can bring this back to the repeal of Roe versus Wade. It's this rolling back of these things, and people who took for granted that, okay, we won that battle, okay, next we won the next battle, okay, next what's next, what's the next mountain to climb, what's the next thing to conquer, we won that battle, we're rolling back the conservatism, we're rolling back, right, we're rolling back these people, we're pushing them back, and our victories are permanent. They took that for granted. They took that for granted. They took upward mobility for granted. They took the passage of time and winning these victories, whether small or big victories, they took that for granted, right? LGBTQ folks being able to get married, they took that for granted. They took for granted all of this. affirmative action laws and Roe versus Wade, they took all of it for granted. And now that push, and you heard it, for those of us that did check out the JD Vance interview with Joe Rogan, you could see how he responds to trans and their lifestyle. Huh? You see the way he spoke about his wife, right? You look at the way he had that conversation or debate with that back and forth with Dana Bash off of CNN. Look at how he addressed the audience when someone asked him about what does he have to say about what Barack Obama had to say about black men and misogyny. White men are reasserting themselves. Huh? And because white men are reasserting themselves and they're going to yank that chain on white women, I said it as mean as I meant it. They're going to yank that chain on white women. And because black women, in many respects, are the mascot in the face for liberalism, women, right? X chromosome liberalism. Because black women are the face of the middle finger towards men and men's leadership. And because black women love that position and they love playing that role, when Mr. Z said it's not going to be black men, it's going to be white men that put the foot in black women's rear end, that wasn't just a guess. And Mr. Z is not wishing that. I know it's going to happen, though. And for those of you that, Mr. Z been saying that for at least a couple years, way before JD Vance's name really blew up, way before people really thought that Trump was going to be able to make it out of all of these cases. I've only been saying it for a couple of years. I've been thinking it for at least a decade. Huh? At least a decade. Right?
That was November 8th, 2024, everyone. Huh? Y'all appreciate, like, we just had this situation. Z is a child of immigrants. How did I see it? And all you had all of these black women who are also child of immigrants who were born and raised here, ADOS, FBA, and they didn't see it? Huh? Was he not the only one who saw this coming? Many of us in the black manosphere, so we knew this was going to be it. They took all of this for granted. Huh? They sacrificed the black community for what? The kids' table? Huh? White people's kid table? You sacrifice the black community for white people's kid table? And now they kicking you out the house? Ah. Huh? It's not a good look. And it's 500,000. And this is why I wanted to acknowledge it as a targeting. I can appreciate BGS's angle and Anton Daniels' angle. No, if they're losing 500,000 jobs in the matter of 5 and 6 months, no, let's call it a targeting. You should have gambled better. You bet on the wrong horse. You bet on white women's ability to save you from their brothers. Ooh, goddamn. And yeah, about that. You bet on white women's largesse. You bet on white liberal men or white men that are left of center. You bet on them, not on black men. You bet on white liberal men and white liberal women and their largesse, and them saving you from their conservative brethren and sistren, but mainly their conservative brethren. Yeah. You bet on okay, if we do get a conservative or Republican there, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but he ain't gonna be slashing jobs like that. He ain't gonna put a hatchet to the system to the point where it even hurts white women. That ain't gonna happen. They be talking that they ain't gonna do it though. And if they do, it ain't gonna hurt that much. Well, huh? Man, exactly. And Revlon says, like Eve sitting at the table at the end of the table. Like Eve sitting at the end of the table. Exactly. For all of you that remember that picture with the rapper Eve. Huh? And Hitflix says they didn't want to see it, Z. They were rocking until the wheels fall off. Yeah. And we're here now. You're gonna see them losing houses, you're gonna see homelessness, solicitation for you know what? All of that. If you don't have a Democrat come in, or maybe a softer, air quote, softer Republican come in and find somewhere to put these women, it's over. Huh? And and there is something to be said. I want to go back to and I'm probably going to use that to as a springboard, which is for all of us that remember all that talk of the K-shaped recovery, right? Towards the end of the whole COVID, um, I want to call it debacle, but the whole COVID situation. And you remember there was a growing gap of like who was benefiting or who was coming out of COVID doing well, and those folks that didn't lose everything but lost a lot. Some did lose everything. Businesses that shuttered, et cetera, et cetera. People that got laid off. This is going to exacerbate that K shape for men and for women, but particularly for women. Because if you're not coupled up to a man, men still subsidize women. Huh? You can afford to keep on getting these hits. You can afford this hit. Huh? Yeah. You're right. You're actually right. I did forget that. I forgot. And Vince says, Z, we're not going to see homelessness because Trump just signed an executive order to clean up homeless encampments this week. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And Trump, that think about what we just said here. Thank you for reminding me about that, Vince. That's the pincer move. Did I just say go back home? That's the pincer move. Any one of us that took poli sci in college, definitely for those of you that graduate from it, in all of my history majors, this is your conversation right here. What Mr. Z say? They could press the buttons, flick the switches, pull on the levers, right? It hits you and make it seem like they're not even doing it on purpose. We all know what's going on here. Huh? Yikes. For all of those that minimize the plight of black men, especially over the past 4 and 5 decades, right? That incarceration rate, huh? All that broken glass Giuliani crap, huh? Stop and frisk, all those that thought that black men deserve to be warehouse in prison. Black men are doing they gotta be doing something wrong. You're not being targeted, huh? This society didn't choose you for a social death. Oops. Huh? How are black women doing so well and you're not? For all of you, particularly, I'm talking to black people right now. That's how you thought about your nephews and your male cousins, black male cousins, and maybe even your own sons. What are you going to think about your college educated daughters when they can't keep them a job? They can't find it to keep it in the first place, but when they do find it, they can't keep it. Huh? What happens when you have a couple of bad actors that have a hard on, and I mean that in a negative way, for black women? We're not talking about black men here. Because as I said before, they see black women as the face, and I should have said it a little bit better. They see black women as the face of negative liberty. Black women, you are the face of negative liberty. These white guys see you as the face of social decay, huh? Of being immoral. And yet they trying to regulate white women, but you gonna be the one that feel that hit hurt harder than anyone else. Ooh, goddamn. Huh? And let's read this from Inspired Truth. And Inspired Truth says, this game of Monopoly will end. Until then, make them pay what they owe. Look, I don't know if the ladies got it. They're going to have to pay with kindness. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. They're going to have to pay with cooperation and blowjobs. Yeah, I don't think they got the money. They're going to have to pay with folded sheets and cooked food. That's how, right? That's how they're going to have to pay. I don't know if they got it. That's asking for a lot. Huh? Yikes. Mr. Z could say something more, but I don't want to go to that right? They're going to have to remember a skill set they haven't practiced in decades. How the mom going to teach the daughter how to be on a man's program and to cooperate and submit cooperate with a man when she don't even know how to do it? She don't know how to do it, and grandma don't even know how to do it. Oops. You have 20 and 30 some odd year old women with 40 and 50 some odd year old mothers, with maybe 80 some odd year old grandmas, and none of them know how to get on the man's program. Grandma has a faint, like she remember a little bit, but she never really practiced it. So, huh? She remember how it looked, but she ain't really practice it. So she ain't gonna be no help. Mom definitely ain't gonna be no help. So who gonna teach the daughter how to get on the man's program? Inspired True, they look like they don't have to come with the money, but they don't got it. Oops. They don't got it. Huh? If she had it, she would be giving you the middle finger. She don't got it. Huh? Oh yeah, I definitely yep. And Telescope says white women about to make black women the face of immorality, mendacity, disagreeableness to serve as an object lesson to other women. I said so sorry. You said white men. I'm thinking about white women throwing black women under the bus. I read your comment and I read it completely wrong. Well, I didn't read it completely wrong. I read it wrong. What you said is true. What I'm saying is, I think white women are gonna be like, you. White women are gonna push black women onto oncoming traffic. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. Look, that's black women. Look, I wasn't doing no twerking. Huh? That ain't me. Nope, nope, not me. I wasn't twerking. I wasn't using profanity like a sailor. I wasn't getting tatted up from neck to toe. I wasn't doing none of that. Yeah, that's it. Huh? I think Latina and white women are gonna do that. But I do think Telescope is right, where white men gonna make an example out of somebody in this mug. Huh? Let me read this one now. And Big Mo says, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more social media content intended to teach women how to get on a man's program or offering courses for the same. 88888. Learn how to get on a man's program. Hooked on phonics. Lesson 1. Huh? All that back talking, neck rolling. Lesson 2. Oh man, no starfish, if y'all know what Z is saying. Lesson 3. Oh man. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if they turn being on a man's program, if they do the same thing that they do with like makeup, oh, we would be cooking with grease. We would be cooking with grease if they do this, if they put the same type of energy into being on a black man's program as they put into all those makeup tutorials and how to apply the makeup, and they be caking on this makeup crap. This thing went way too far. But if they put the same energy in teaching women, namely black women, how to be on a black man's program, if they put the same energy into that they do into this makeup tutorials, oh, we wouldn't have no problems. Right? And thank you for that, Big Mo. Thank you for the super chat. Right? And KW Don says they didn't hedge their bets. Besides, crotch grab is doing everything right. Yeah, they didn't hedge their bet. They put all their chips on negative liberty. They put all their chips on middle finger to black men. All of their chips. All of their chips on. Oh, we're gonna keep on going in this direction. I don't got nothing to worry about. They put all their chips on that. I'll agree with KW Don on this. Huh? They put all their chips on can do bad all by myself. They put all their chips on living vicariously through asshole black female celebrities. Huh? Well, we're here now. We're here now. This is horrible. And Mr. Z is not the only one that predicted that the ladies would be in the ice cold eventually. Z, you gonna play the clip? You know Mr. Z gonna play the clip. Rest in peace to the late, great Kevin Samuels. And here you go.
You guys have been living in a fantasy land. You think that it's not going to happen. You think there's going to be some kind of bailout. There's going to be something else. There's going to be nothing. People right now are being put on the streets in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Listen to this.
Moving people out, putting their stuff on the front yard.
3-4 years ago, prediction.
You want to know what's coming, ladies? They're decriminalizing the oldest profession in the book. In New York City right now, the governor, the mayor said we're not going after people who are loitering in the streets. So, like it or not, Some parts of Manhattan, some parts of the five boroughs have been turned into right there in the streets. Go to World Star, you'll see the video yourself. Broad daylight, transactions happening on a stoplight. Guess what? That's New York. Guess where else it's about to come? California. States across the country, because why? There's not enough money to give to people. And if you're a woman and you have a regular job, you know, let's just look at it. If you were not an essential worker during the pandemic, you are at risk. I was in Neiman Marcus the day they shut the world down, and I had never seen panic like that before. And all those women's eyes, because many of them have been with that company for 10, 20, 10, 5, 10, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. All they had done is retail. Neiman Marcus is on the verge of bankruptcy, and the only thing that saved Neiman Marcus was the pandemic. Those women over there know they are coming back. And when the world stops again, many of these 40-year-old women are not going to have a job to go to and have no skills in the environment. Ladies, winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is coming, and when winter comes, it does not, and this is not just the winter. We are heading into what I'm going to call the long night. It's not going to just be 3 months. It's not going to just be 6 months. We're talking about a global reset for the world. The world, I have been studying this for the better part of 2 years. Look at what's going on in South Korea and Japan. You think it's a joke? You think it's a game? There are villages in Japan where people are outnumbered by freaking dolls. I'm not kidding. Japan is dying. An aging population and a group of people who are not dating. They're not dating. They're not marrying. They're not getting together. You know what it's called? Hikomori. Socially withdrawal. Socially withdrawn. These I'm talking about men 45 and under. Same thing with women. Remember we talked about Kodo Koshi? People dying in their apartments. We talked about Singyu, leftover cake, leftover women. Ladies, it's here. Winter is coming. August will be it. August, when the schools open, the people who have not been working will be forced to go back to work because the children must be in school. The daycares that are left will be there. What are you going to do if you go and have a job and you've been downsized, you've been automated? How many people have been to a McDonald's recently? And you'll notice that most of the front register staff is gone. It's kiosks. The largest two employers in our community of black women are federal government and retail. Retail is dead. We have 26.4 square feet of retail space for every American. The next largest developed country has 6. We have 6 times too many retail spaces. This is why you're seeing dying malls across the country. And what's going on? Because so many women are not being told to think about their long term. This is coming as a surprise. This is why women in Korea are saying we need to, the society is not set up for single people. And what the society needs to do is re-engineer itself for singles. Bullshit, it's not going to happen. Basically, what women in Korea and Japan are hoping that single men who had no family, no children, and have been locked out of the sexual marketplace because of this hypergamy will somehow come and save their lives. Not going to happen. All right. Go ahead and unmute.
That was Kevin Samuels' win. We're in 2025. This was Kevin Samuels, what, 21? 20? Huh? That was Kevin Samuels in what, in 2020, 2021? Yikes. And as Revlon said, they danced on his grave. Revlon says, we tried to warn them, but they celebrated his death. Huh? So myopic. Because it was luxury or nothing. They didn't appreciate their beliefs was luxury. Your beliefs were the luxury. And now people are handing out receipts. No, Z, correction. Life's handing out receipts. My title is The End of an Era. Huh? The end of the middle finger era. The ladies could still have their middle finger. They just got to get subsidized somehow. As Black Uru said, somebody gonna have to pay for these hoes. And what you're seeing is there are a lot of ghost jobs. Oh, we already spoke about ghost jobs. There are a lot of what they call them, zombie firms. Zombie firms. They can't afford it anymore. That's the private sector, right? Okay, fine. Public sector, you just watch Trump and Elon slash a bunch of jobs. Huh? Who's gonna excuse me, who's gonna subsidize the women? If she doesn't have a man, if we already know about the ghost jobs, right? Zombie firms that are really not hiring anyone. As a matter of fact, they're trying to be as quick and nimble as humanly possible with less overhead, so less employees. And the public sector is trying to do the same. Huh? Well, this is the end of an era, is what Mr. Z is saying. You saw that with what Anton played. You saw that with what BGS was playing. You saw that with what Shay Sade played. They're reaching back because they're struggling. They can no longer keep up the facade. Black men, what you gonna do about it? Even Jason Black has spoken about this and predicted this a while ago. Huh? Yikes. Huh? This comes at a cost. Your negative liberty came at a cost, and now the universe is handing out that receipt. Mr. Z not gonna celebrate. Mr. Z is really good at lecturing, though. We ain't gonna celebrate. We ain't gonna dance on their misfortune. I'm not about doing that. Huh? Leon said something about Z. You could go ahead and laugh in secret or something like that. He said, "Laugh under your breath." He said, "Laugh under your breath." No, I'm not laughing at them. They're still our sisters, our girl cousins, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives. Huh? Those phone calls, the phone's gonna be ringing. Huh? Most of them don't got it to be stoic. They don't got it. They don't have it to go the long night under that bridge. No. Huh? And going to what the young lady asked me earlier, a few of them they got family. They'll move back in with mom. Huh? Try to do their Golden Girls thing. Huh? Got to downsize. Go find a BS job that isn't in the crosshairs to get slashed. And they'll downsize, and it'll be a bunch of them, 2, 3, 4 deep in an apartment. Hopefully, they don't fight each other. We'll see about that. But yeah, there ain't no point in dancing on their misfortune. Once again, though, this is a reminder there's limits to your negative liberty. And the environment isn't always forgiving. Huh? Yikes. And let me read this. And TD Tellum says, I'm reminded of that moment in Star Trek 6 when the Klingons were on the verge of losing their world and security. And they tell Captain Kirk they will die, to quote Kirk, then let them die. I mean, I do think there are black women, like when you listen to sovereign women talk, and how far she's willing to go with the insane rhetoric. How far Cynthia G was willing to go with the insane rhetoric, right? And then you have like these folks like the Kim Fosters who don't necessarily got to live with the consequences of how she speaks, right? Because of whatever connections she have, however much money she makes, and now that she has a man that earns, some type of real money, maybe not as much as her, but you know, so she don't got to live the consequence of how she speaks, right? But she does send other black women out there the send off mission, and you gonna watch them crashing out. That struggle gonna be real. All you brothers who gonna try to sneaky link with them for the cheap, for the low, be careful. That struggle gonna be real. They're gonna be out here on some Cardi B Jack moves thing. I'm not just talking about black women on that one. Huh? Accountable commentary covered this last year maybe earlier this year. I bought it up a few times. I actually want to review it because it stayed with me. Um, I want to say it was a very fair skinned, heavy set young lady. She might have been Latina. It was here in Florida, and darker skinned, heavy set young lady, and they were in Walmart stealing. And the heavy set, dark skinned young lady bought her son while she was stealing in Walmart. Got caught, and all Mr. Z could think of is, where the hell are your dudes? Like, where's your men? Where's your man? I guarantee you neither one of you got a man. That's all that I could think was, I guarantee you neither one of you have a man. Huh? So the die could be literal die, TD tell him, and the die could also be a social death. A bunch of zombies walking around, barely subsisting. Like they're alive, they breathe, they talk, right? But it's a social death. You don't really aspire for anything, no upward mobility. Every dollar that comes in goes out. Huh? Years, maybe decades with nothing really to talk about, right? Nothing to phone home about. You really didn't acquire anything worth a damn, right? It's a horrible way to live, especially with the technology we have, right? I did say Gypsy and Roma class of America, right? Yikes. TD Tellum continues and he says, and thank you for the super chat. And let me be clear, I don't want to see them suffer or die in suffering, but they all cannot be saved. True. I agree. I agree. All we can do is hope for the best outcome overall because we're still tired of them on certain levels. Oh yeah. TD Tellum, no, I agree. I agree. I agree. This is not Mr. Z. Um, what's the term again? Not soft-hearted liberal. What is it? Bleeding heart liberal. Bleeding heart liberal. This is not Mr. Z doing the bleeding heart liberal thing. With that, I am not about celebrating, but like to be fair, we're better than them. Oh goddamn, so you said that. I said it. I'm not about dancing on their misfortune or making little smug comments like how Kim Foster likes to make the little jabs, questioning their quote unquote femininity. Right. With that, Mr. Z is good on lecturing though. Huh? And doing the what have we learned? right? There just was too much recklessness. And all we saw on social media is how many of them are actually speaking and moving in real life. Were people being extra on social media? Yes. Being hyperbolic? Absolutely. But a lot of this was an aspect of these women in real life. We were interacting with them in real life. And this was their sentiments and are their sentiments about men, black men in specific, in real life. They just felt emboldened on the internet to say it. Huh? And I agree with you, TD. Tell them not all of them can be saved. I agree with that. I can't disagree. All right. As as dusty as I want to be, says I keep telling you, Z, Gypsy's marry. So what are we gonna call him? A split Jim? What do you? Not a split Jim. I'm sorry. As dusty as I want to be. I saw A and I said a split Jim. As dusty as I want to be. What do you call this kind of? I don't want to say disconnected because they do have quote unquote each other. What do you call a band of wayward women with no men? Some have children, some don't follow no rules. Some have jobs, some don't. Like negative liberty practicing to the max ass women. Like, what do you call them? Right. Not on a man's program. Huh? Like, yeah. And thank you for that. As dusty as I want to be, because yeah. Yeah, good point. I don't want to be saved. Sexy Red featuring Glorilla. Yeah, yeah, true. Song, yes. Yeah, I heard it. Right. And Vegas Dev, this is a good comment. And Vegas Dev says, I'm not gonna celebrate it because I don't have that level of hatred in my heart. I'm simply apathetic. We don't celebrate their misfortunes. Yeah. Because I don't oh man. As much talk as there is about this patriarchy and dominance and male dominance and chauvinism and just wanting to crush women who don't adhere to everything we say and do. I think we don't celebrate their misfortune because we don't think it's the the cosmos punishing them for not bowing to us. I think we don't celebrate their misfortune because it's sad. It's not ha ha goody goody told you ha ha. That's what you get, right? And y'all gives you a second. Okay, that sounds really good. You know, it in Creole we say sabon or sabon pou, which is like that's good for you. Okay. We just not on that type of time. Huh? So no point in celebrating their misfortune, especially if they're gonna try to tap your pockets. Your younger sisters and your girl cousins when they see you and your maybe your own mom. Right. Yikes. Let me see what else we have. I feel like I missed one of these. There we go, Vince. That's what I forgot. And Vince is Canary in the Coal Mine tax. No, I don't think it ends with black women. I think we're going through a fundamental reshuffling because so many things are converging at the same time. Like I mentioned, automation, machine learning. I do think men gonna get hit with this too. But because we're engaged in more up, upkeep of the physical infrastructure, and because we're in more of these like tasks that need like it needs your physicality, you need to be hands on, right? Some of these things are a bit more complex to automate. That doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It's going to take a little bit longer to wipe us off the board. The women, on the other hand, particularly black women, because white men were not going to let, they weren't going to fire their daughters over black women. They weren't going to let white women go over their, excuse me, they weren't going to let, yeah, white women go over black women, right? Now, are there going to be white women that get let go with black women? Yeah. It's just going to be less of the percentage of their population. Huh? But yeah, the canary in the coal mine. I think black women are the canary in the coal mine for women, right? Ah, and then the negative stereotypes about their customer service and all of that. Yeah, man, that was negative stereotypes about going to the DMV and how slow it is and how inefficient it is, and in the face of like a DMV worker is some type of overweight, mainly white or black, really black woman. People have these things seared into their minds. You got to know that when a JD Vance gets into power, that's going to mean something. Huh? Mr. Shook to you says men could always go back to manual labor if necessary. Yep. Yikes. Yeah. So on that note, y'all, Mrs. Z was not trying to make this no 2.5 hour long stream. So okay, that's sad, y'all. Black women should have been on a black man's program, but we're here now. So 300,000 jobs, 500,000 jobs, better yet. I keep on saying three something, right? So, and that number, I suspect that number increases. I do think it's going to cap out, but I can't call it. I can't tell you what the number's going to be. But that's a lot of jobs in a short amount of time. And I agree with Anton on this. It was because of being propped up, right? But Anton, what I don't appreciate with that, the government is the employer of last resort. Actually, let me focus on that for a few minutes before we end out. The government's been the employer of last resort before black people really got onto the before the end of Jim Crow. We'll say that, huh? Especially that was part of like FDR's Great Society type thing, or right? So if the private sector is a bit anti-black and racist, because it is, and it's way more than a bit, and you know it, Anton. It's not even up for debate. If the public sector said, "All right, we'll hire Keisha, goddamn," and yes, she gonna have an attitude and back talk, but as long as she does her work, we'll hire her, we'll promote her, we'll give her some BS middle management title, huh? Give her a couple dollars more. You can't say that the government, the public sector was propping these women up, and that's why they had the jobs they had, without also acknowledging that and we've heard like Anton, don't make Z start pulling quotes from CEOs and whatnot that have said some extremely anti-black stuff about black people writ large, not only black women. So, all right, now y'all going way too far in the opposite direction. I damn near lost it when I heard Anton said, "Yeah, we're moving to a merit-based meritocracy," and I was like, "What? Wait, what? Ever since when?" Y'all be taking this way too far in the opposite direction, Anton. I get you. You kissing as much white Republican ass as humanly possible. I get you. I hear you. But y'all taking this way too far, huh? Because we have whole PhDs that wrote books about the myth of meritocracy. Michael Sandel, huh? So I hear you, Anton, but yeah. Right. So let me read this before we end on out. And Detroit said, as Batman said, "I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you either." Yes. Yes. Right. Black women can't afford this individuality, bro. That hyper individuality, that individuality that Kim Foster was speaking about on that Clubhouse. Shout out to Red Pill Sleeper Cell Louis. Y'all check his channel out to see what Mr. Z is referencing. I'm gonna put the link in the description after the stream anyway. But yeah, just in case. A handful of women can afford that. Even fewer black women. The masses of black women cannot afford this individuality talk. It sounds nice though, sounds liberating, right? But they can't afford it. They can't, right? I said it, I meant it. Being single is a luxury. And when the money was flush in America and inflation wasn't putting a foot in your ass, you didn't have to earn a lot to be single as a woman. You can find little ways to make up for being single. Well, mom still pay your cell phone with the family plan. You have a roommate for your apartment. Huh? You got a little situationship and he's sliding you a few dollars. Huh? You skipping out on bills, you paying certain bills late. Yep. What happens when that receipt comes due? Well, we're here now, right? So, on that note, y'all, we will pause right here. Vince, I ain't gonna read that out loud. That's hysterical. So yeah, we'll pause right here. Um, Shout out, we had a green gorilla sighting today, y'all. We had a green gorilla sighting. Shout out to Green Gorilla if you're still listening. Shout out to Green Gorilla. We had a green gorilla sighting. It's always a pleasure when the PhDs drop through. So and yeah, Vince, I'll see. I'll try because I have Green Gorilla's email. It's me. It wasn't Green Gorilla. It was me. Look, I'm gonna just expose myself. It was me. I was supposed to do a stream with Dr. Ron O'Neill. Time constraints. Green Gorilla, time constraints. Even with the brother Jeff St. James, time constraints. Look, man, if y'all believe in God, God be like, here you go, Z. And I'll be like, but I can't, I don't have the time. Right? So yeah, yo. So we're working on the schedule. As a matter of fact, the schedule got a whole lot better. So some of that is we're gonna be able to do certain things with some of these streams that I wasn't able to do before. Y'all bear with. We working on it. This channel is a work in progress. So yeah. So yeah. And Vincent, and that's why I'll be like, no scrubs coming soon. 2 years later, and shout out to Buckeye fan, bro. Buckeye fan, look, when I finally dropped that stream, I'm gonna have like a special party for Buckeye fan because that brother right there is waiting. So yeah, y'all look, we're actually gonna end this out. We'll pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Yeah, go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content for the love of God. Um, Shout out to Green Gorilla for stopping by. Shout out to all of you. Super late night stream. Well, it's not super late, but late night stream. Especially for those of us on the East Coast. And Mr. Z out. Look, the end of an era. Yep, no reach backs, no reach blacks. Y'all gonna have to get in where y'all fit in. And all right, y'all. Mr. Z out.